Imagine pulling up to the rustic lakeside retreat your grandfather poured his soul into back in 1956, the one he crafted log by log with calloused hands fresh from the Korean War trenches, only to see some deadbeat 28-year-old and his sketchy girlfriend lounging on your porch like they own the place, smirking through cigarette smoke as they wave you off with a casual, "Tough luck, buddy, this spot's ours now." All because the iron-fisted HOA boss handed it over to her own son for a laughable 24 grand over dues you never even racked up, your grandpa's war. Metals tossed like garbage into a rusted dumpster. His hand-carved oak table vanished, replaced by the stench of cheap pizza boxes and spilled beer soaking into the floors he sanded himself. Rain pounding down on cardboard crates stuffed with decades of irreplaceable memories. And when you dial the police in a haze of fury and disbelief, they side with the intruders, ordering you to back off or face trespassing charges yourself. What kind of twisted nightmare is that, right? Drop a line in the comments if you've ever stared down a similar betrayal, and tell me where you're tuning in from, because I know these neighborhood tyrants have left scars everywhere. But let me rewind just a bit to paint the full picture of how this hellish ordeal unfolded, pulling me into a battle I never saw coming. 3 years back, I inherited this gem of a cabin from my mom's side, built by my grandfather Henry Sullivan, a decorated Korean War hero who limped home in 1953 with a chest full of medals and a soul weary of orders from anyone. So he scraped together $800 for 5 acres of untouched shoreline on Crystal Lake and hammered together his sanctuary using nothing but sweat, determination, and a refusal to bend. The kind of place where the air hummed with the scent of fresh-cut timber even after all these years, where the water's soft rhythm against the pier he engineered himself could wash away the world's noise, and the massive stone hearth he stacked brick by brick radiated warmth that felt like a hug from the past, valued at around $400,000 these days. But to me, it was beyond price, a tangible echo of a man who'd fought for his freedom and claimed it here in the wilderness. What nobody really mentions is how this haven technically fell under the umbrella of the Evergreen Estates HOA, though it predated their fancy charter by 4 decades, grandfathered in when they formed up in 1996, meaning it should have been hands off, sacred ground untouched by their petty rules. But then along came Eleanor Hargrove, and yeah, that's her actual name since this tale's hitting the airwaves now, the epitome of a nightmare. Neighborhood overseer with her impeccably coiffed platinum locks, a tone sharp enough to slice through steel, and a grin that sent shivers down spines, ruling that HOA like her private fiefdom for over a dozen years, with a predatory eye for vulnerable spots, zeroing in on passed-down homes, particularly those from service families or anyone with a name that didn't sound local enough. Because folks like us were often scattered across states, buried in crises, too drained to wage prolonged wars, she circled like a hawk spotting weakness, nails polished to perfection. Her cover job as a property broker giving her the insider edge to twist the knife just right. Her boy Tyler was a walking red flag, 28 going on perpetual adolescence, jobless with a record, dotted by minor larceny, narcotics busts, and strong-arming folks into silence, the type who'd swipe your tools from the shed and hawk them online, then act baffled when you called him out. Eleanor desperate to set him up independently, but good luck finding a landlord willing to lease to a guy whose resume screamed trouble. And it all kicked off while I was out in Illinois tending to my mom's knee replacement recovery, a stiff envelope landing at the cabin with that ominous crinkle of official paper, reeking of legalese and her cloying floral scent that turned my stomach. Inside a demand for $15,000 in backdated yard maintenance fees for upgrades I neither wanted nor witnessed, pay up in 30 days or kiss the title goodbye, retroactive nonsense for work supposedly done pre-inheritance, the bitterness of that demand lingering like bad brew in my throat. But Eleanor was merely warming up, violation slips appearing daily like unwanted gifts slipped. Under the door, lawn overgrown by an inch, penalty, fence paint off by a shade, fine, odd hours of activity hinting at who knows what, citation, she'd turned herself into my shadow watchdog, nitpicking every detail to deem the Sullivan legacy unfit for her pristine enclave, even roping in the power company to barricade my drive during urgent, repairs that magically timed with my veteran pals rolling up in their trucks for a visit. Then she stirred the pot with the locals, door-to-door campaigns, clipboard clutched tight, rallying signatures against the troubled ex-soldier dragging down the vibe. Waves turned to wary glances, isolation creeping in like fog off the lake, making me feel exiled on my own ancestral soil. She was stacking her deck methodically, violation upon violation, but what I didn't grasp yet was this siege stemmed from a grudge buried deep, decades old, about to erupt like a long-dormant volcano. And just weeks after that initial salvo, she escalated hard, slapping a lien for $23,000 now, bloated with penalties that'd shame a mobster, papers served with the crunch of gravel under a process server's heels. Fast-tracked through her web of courthouse contacts from years flipping houses. The audacity hit peak when she set a foreclosure auction for 30 days out, treating me like some absentee flake who'd ditched the place, aiming to snatch it clean through courtroom sleight of hand, all while beaming like she'd cracked the code, and digging into records boiled my blood further, revealing she'd funneled 3 similar homes to kin at bargain basement rates over 5 years, her uncle snagging a waterside plot worth $200,000 for 60, her cousin a prime spot halved in value, running the HOA as her family fief. So I countered with a report to the State Property Board, dossier packed with deals, minutes, timelines that screamed graft, violations of disclosure, insider profiteering, selective rule bending, feeling like an underdog gearing up for the fray. But Eleanor didn't rise to power by yielding, calling a snap board session within 2 days, bumping the sale to 14 days on grounds my baseless attacks endangered harmony, her panic palpable as perfume, rallying her puppet panel, her stylist, the tackle shop guy, to back urgent measures against the volatile vet. Most folks overlook that liens demand a hearing for contesting charges, a step she bypassed, betting I'd fold blind. Always insist on procedural proof before swallowing any claim. And as I peeled back layers, her playbook emerged. Prey on distant inheritors, bury them in bogus fees, pounce when defenses crumbled, a routine she'd perfected. Even eyeing Henry's spot pre-death, querying his health in meetings like monitoring a volatile investment. But she'd miscalculated big, assuming I was another pushover, ignoring the steel Henry instilled in me, that thieves get met with resistance, not retreat. So I geared for combat, duplicating files, taping talks, canvassing locals, the drive stones soon to echo with footsteps she'd dread, because us service kin don't just guard our own. We remember, rally, and crush threats with unyielding force. Paperwork be damned. 2 weeks on, Eleanor orchestrated what felt like outright piracy. The auction slotted for 10 sharp on a Thursday, but rigged so only her circle caught wind. Notices buried in some obscure rag amid farm gear sales and mystic ads, not the mandated major. Daily, her crew assembling precisely. Herself, a sleazy suit reeking of tobacco and defeat, and Tyler fresh from slumber, bids a farce. Suit guy lowballs at 20,000, Tyler jumps to 24. With calculated precision, silence seals it after a half-minute scan, $400,000 asset flipped for peanuts, like scoring a yacht for lunch money. And by noon, Tyler and his inked-up partner were hauling in garbage sacks of gear, towers of soda cans, a pilfered cart doubling as mover, turning my heritage into their crash pad. That's when I enlisted Laura Gonzalez, a shark in HOA disputes. Known for dismantling crooked councils over coffee, her opener genius. The ad flunked legal specs, voiding the deal outright, filing for a halt on ousters, and for a day, victory loomed. Until Eleanor's courier dropped a bombshell folder, a 1987 pact bearing what looked like Henry's scrawl binding him to all HOA edicts, notarized and pristine, flipping the script to voluntary submission, the judge buying it hook-line, slapping me with a no-go zone around my own land. Tyler mocking from the stoop with brew and bird, but forged docs fool easy, demand originals. Vet notary logs via state sites. Yet this smelled off. Paper too fresh for 30-plus years. No fade, no folds, no spills. Henry inevitably added like signature flair, the anti-rule rebel hoot. Grid dodge before bowing to busybodies? No chance, especially mid-FBI ops year. Calls to old-timers yielded zilch on Henry, ever dues-paying or attending, phantom member at best, while Eleanor paraded triumphantly, cruising slow past with smug glee, her spawn defiling my home unchecked. But hubris breeds blunders, and I'd been logging every exchange, amassing ammo she'd rue, the true clash. Igniting now as she stooped lower, unleashing a rep-ruining barrage, 5 bogus cop filings alleging my shadows on her trail, grocery stocks, drive-by glares, scripting me as the PTSD vet stereotype. A card she played masterfully to sway sympathies, netting a buffer zone barring me 500 feet, whispers amplifying to outright shuns. Watch that service guy, he's unhinged, her theatrics. Whispered with feigned concern, peering about like spilling classifieds. Yet games cut both ways, so I convened a casual huddle at Joe's Diner, that greasy spoon with Java from the Reagan era but pie. To die for, facing folks directly to reclaim my narrative, uncovering Eleanor's widespread wrath. The Johnsons stripped of their patio over sudden flaws, post her garden beef, the Sings find hefty. For festive banners deemed mismatched, while Mr. Thompson battled orders to dismantle his spouse's mobility access, 80 and counting, her tape measure hunts for infractions pure cruelty. The rot reeking worse than overdone fries, but the jackpot slid under my doorpost meat, and signed envelope hinting this'll intrigue you. Inside Tyler's parole docs mandating mom's address. Registration, not the swiped cabin, his squat breaching terms, officer clueless on his ghosting, turning squatter to absconder. I tipped off Tyler's overseer next dawn, Officer Ramirez fuming over. Skipped sessions masked as kincare, technically sly if theft counts as tending, but false filings bite back as felonies, courts loathing deceit. Timestamp all, gather eyes, inconsistencies unravel. Liars, yet Eleanor pressed her assault, badmouthing me to merchants as a blaze threat, armed loose cannon, her hushed warnings laced with drama. Between us, but launching fabrications. Meanwhile, I wove my web, alerting every vet within 50 miles to her vet baiting, sparking calls from American Legion head Jack, a nom-survivor built like a tank, and VFW women's lead Helen. Triple tour medic turned sleuth, unearthing Eleanor's dad Victor Hargrove losing a land spat to Henry in the 80s. Her fixation no rule play, but inherited venom, festering across generations. Amid the trashed heirlooms Tyler dumped, a soaked file labeled FBI official surfaced beneath Henry's Valor Awards and tackle permits, trembling fingers revealing missives from 1960 to 1995. Bureau-headed thanks, reimbursements, rendezvous for the Civilian Support Initiative. My reclusive grandpa moonlighting as FBI liaison 35 years, the cabin a covert hub for mobwatch ops. Near regional dens of vice, a 1987 note from Agent Emily Whitaker praising secure site use, affirming ongoing federal safeguard designation. Those words electrifying, dialing the Detroit Bureau. Half joking, but naming Whitaker and Henry's code transferred me upward, her callback swift, retired but vivid on his reliability, the spot ideal for stealth, isolated yet strategic. Then the revelation. Inactive easement lingered, untouched termination, query on meddling with Gov Holdings? Easements override local nonsense like artillery versus slings, Whitaker detailing supremacy. Over HOA whims, her prized 1987 pact clashing with Bureau renewal, Henry wouldn't jeopardize ops for neighborhood nags, agreeing to doc review for intrusion probes, Bureau sour on asset kin. Harassment, especially vets. That night poring over correspondence unveiled a shadow patriot. Not mere hermit, but silent guardian hosting classified huddles, the cabin intelligence lore. Not stoner den. Tomorrow Whitaker would validate. Eleanor soon facing Fed fury. HOA despots no match for badges. Dawn brought Whitaker in a sleek black ride to Joe's, exuding vet poise that hushed. The joint over paint-peeling Joe, scrutinizing files with surgical focus. Your grandpa was a hero, she affirmed, eyeing a 1982 Mafia dossier. Torino's syndicate never suspected our proximity. A brief call unleashing gears, Bureau reactivating site scrutiny for tampering. My first bulwark locked, but more needed. Laura charting legal assaults on 17 lean flaws, from botched alerts to fakes, Pattern hunting 6 properties skimmed over 10 years, 2 mil in shady shifts, exposing syndicate scale scam. Third flank. Michael Chun, regional scribe tracking HOA rot statewide. Salivating over Fed angle. Pulitzer bait. Notebook blazing with Fed ties. Vet smears. Graft. Mastering publicity to flip Eleanor's opinion weapon. Her terror victims are core force. Jack rallying intel session at VFW Hall. 23 clans airing grievances. Johnson's with 8 grand fine stubs. Sings discrimination proofs. Mr. Thompson rant measure snaps. Helen unearthing embezzlement via records. Yard funds to Hargrove Landscaping. Kin-owned. Alarms to Phantom Tyler Tech. Legal pads self-build. Cams on Fed turf legal nationwide. Our trifecta. Laura Courts. Whitaker Feds. Michael Press. Param cams catching violations. Deals. Visits in crisp detail. Whitaker checks exposed tax dodges. Hidden gains. Tyler's breaches. Laura fraud stacks. Prosecutor ready. Michael packets for scandal blast. Eleanor versus Fed court community juggernaut. Predator turning prey as desperation mounted. Hiring hack sleuth Max Donovan for dirt. His clunky stakeouts neighbor tipped. Camaro chainsmoke obvious as comedy. Eleanor's ploy to brand me menace laughable in ineptitude. Peeking with clerk bribe try for predating docs. Honest soul taping vanish this snag. Offer daybound. Fed probe accelerated. Whitaker assigning Junior to easement hunts. Revealing Eleanor's easement challenge history. 3 prior retreats versus. Lawyered foes. My spot assumed easy pickings. Error fatal. Bombshell. Cabin drug hub. Cams nabbing deals to watchlisters. Marshals trumping locals. Eleanor's counter. Bylaw rewrite meet in her den. Quartet puppets voting Fed overrule powers. Retro shields. Constitutional parody. Then presser. In drive. Trio attendees including Michael filming her deep state rants. Forged commie proofs. Whitaker romance slurs. Video gold of public film ban demand. By week's close. Eleanor amassed bribery. Drug aid. Slander evidence. Speedrunning indictables. Her endgame unhinged smear blitz. Flyers car stuck with my pick blaring vet peril. Service twists to violence proofs. Fake page. Evergreen alert. Stalking tales. Self-comments traced. But Whitaker countered with Bureau affirm on. Henry's role. Probe statement chilling. Serious on asset interference. Vet kin badgering. Michael's exposed spanned 15 years. County webs. Prior victim Mrs. Lee delivering taped strategy. Admissions targeting outsiders. Vets for weak pushback. Forged pics. Vandalism snaps. Grudge roots in 1983 Victor Lowball fail versus Henry's survey aid costing shore strip. Toxic legacy. My cams nailing porch sales. Witness coaches. Max plants. Footage pill sharp. Whitaker near spitting Joe at Fed site trafficking. Evidence doorstop thick. Trafficking. Obstruction. Frauds galore. Conspiracy. Asset defamation. Trap primed for courtroom snare. Justice compounding 40 years overdue. The climax crashed at the town assembly, not even aimed her way. Mayor Anderson convening for holiday fund talks, but Eleanor hijacking for Fed plot. Expose. Record 237 cramming the hall. Buzz electric over impending storm. Coffee char thick as tension. Eleanor strutting in late. With shaky entourage, suited up with prop case. Blind to black cruisers outside. Suited agents blending in. Michael's lens primed. Mayor droning basics till she seized Mike. This enclave faces. Assault from a rogue using sham Fed ties to bully innocents. Truth time. Podium posed like royalty. We're up against a deranged ex-troop slinging suits. Now FBI pretender. Murmurs not her echo. She flashed enlarged letters. Obvious fakes. Henry Sullivan a red infiltrator peddling secrets. Then Mrs. Lee rose sharp. Calling a metal man traitor? That's stiffening. Eleanor faltering. Service claims don't exempt lawbreaking. His kin exploits sentiment for theft. But mid-row. Let me set the record straight. Emily Whitaker badge flashing, striding forward. I'm Agent Emily. Whitaker collaborated with Henry 35 years. Patriot through and through. Silence tomb-like. Site holds Fed easement. Nulling HOA sway. Probing tampering yields damning fines. Eleanor's hue drained. Impossible. I hold proofs. Whitaker slicing. Your 1987 deal? Lab says 2019 stock. Fresh ink. Notary deceased since 1995, gasps rippling, Eleanor reeling. But onslaught continued. Your offspring ran narcotics from seized site. Breaching parole, feds, nabbed today. Marshals rising encirclement style. Entrapment, she wailed, lead cuffing, arrested. Fraud, theft, fed metal, plot. You're Mirandized. Board bolting caught on cam. Her parting shriek, lawsuits coming, connections mine. Hall erupting cheers as she exited. Spotlight spurred probes. Into HOA watch, resident shields, Jack booming, high time bullies fall, Henry beam. Within hours I reclaimed the cabin. Peeling grimy shades for sun-dappled planks Henry laid, marshals cleared. Junk, cans, cart, stash, as proof. Girlfriend's novels and wilted fern kept for mercy nod, Eleanor's woes mounting. Fed counts on deceit, graft, interference, license yanked, IRS on hidden halls. 3 to 5 looming plus wipeout restitution, Tyler 6 months locked, 2-year watch with rehab, tests. Community healed. For nearby HOAs self-reformed for openness, state pushed, resident shield. Law, via Michael's Prize series, I founded Henry Sullivan Legacy Trust from settlement cash, aiding vet HOA fights, housing aids, cabin vet hub monthly, coffee tales blending war lore, bureau tips. Whitaker guesting with ops yarns from Henry's den. Safeguarded nation. She'd muse dockside at dusk. Yearly shore scrub drew crowds. 3 tons cleared last go. From kids to ancients. Mrs. Lee dumplings. Jack command. Mayor mucking in. Michael's book chaptered Henry's saga as service echo protecting kin. The feud unearthed town's grit. United against tyrants. Justice triumphs. Eleanor banked on divides. Blind to vet ties. Fed recall. Neighbor spine. Now, as I perch on Henry's crafted pier, mist lifting off Crystal Lake, Joe divine, quiet profound, sunsets affirming battles. Worth waging, closure sinks in, heritage secured, bullies felled, legacy thriving. But it begs questions. Was this payback fair or overreach? Does justice demand public downfall or quiet fix? Where's the line between vengeance and righting wrongs, especially when family's sacred? Weigh in below, share your take on ethics here, because these lines blur, but standing firm feels right.